Hello, welcome back to the ministry. This is Taj McCameron, and today we're talking about God will change your immediate trajectory in order to suddenly bless you. All right, now this is an interesting word. God will change your immediate trajectory in order to bless you. Have you ever felt like you thought that you knew you knew where you was going, and you come find out you didn't? It happens to me a lot. God will give me an instruction. Okay, in this amount of time, I'm going to do this. I'm like, okay, let me plan to get myself in order for that thing that you told me that I'm going to be doing in this period of time. So you prepare, you pack, you this, you that, you other, whatever the other thing is, you do. You get your this, you get your that, you get in order, and the time frame expires, and you're like, God, where are you? I thought we had an agreement. You told me that it was this time frame. Today was the day. Why? What just happened? And then there was another message that said, yeah, that time frame changed. You're not gonna go in that time frame. You're gonna go in this time frame." And you're like, I, I thought I was going in that time frame. I thought the ship was gonna happen over here in this time frame. And then God decides, yeah, I'm gonna change that to that. But we had a thing. How often is it that the Lord will give you things and then give you time? And you're sitting there like, but I thought we were headed in this direction. Sometimes when God wants to bless you, he wants to bless you, but sometimes he needs other people to be on board for the process of the blessing. So you may sit there and think, I'm getting everything in alignment, I got everything the way that it needs to be on my end, and the other person or peoples that are supposed to get into position for them, they ain't in the position yet. And you're sitting there like, God, I'm in position, what happened? And God said, wait. What you thought was 3 months is now this amount of months. And you're like, but it, okay, what are you going to say? But it's that, and I was listening to a young woman say this yesterday. It's like, sometimes you feel like you have to be that control freak person, that everything has to be scheduled down to a T. It's another young woman I listen to, has nothing to do with prophetic words. She's a strategist for social media in Britain, and the level of organization that this woman has makes me feel bad because I'm like, I don't schedule out my day to that pinpointed degree, but I do have scheduling tools for that. It's just I'm not that in depth like that, but they are. Even the people that I do my coach is that way, that they just schedule everything, and I've never been that type of person. I've tried it, but it just never worked out for me. I'm on the fly. When the Lord needs me to move, I do as he tells me. So the process of sitting down for an hour and a half to schedule yourself for the rest of the week, it doesn't make sense to me, because if I have a schedule to look at, I'm sitting there looking at it like, God's gonna change my schedule anyway, so why do I even have this? I do what he needs for me to do when he needs me to do it. So I'm not looking at a schedule because I didn't keep it. I feel stressed out and anxious because I feel like I'm getting behind or this, that, and the other. I just do as the Lord leads me. And what doesn't get done does not get done. With that being said, same thing. Trajectory. If you feel like you have everything planned out to go in one direction and the Lord shifts it, you can't get mad at the trajectory shifting. The timing was off. The other people that were supposed to be involved in the move of this thing happening are not quite ready. You got to get in alignment and take that time. And I was listening to the young woman about a week and a half ago, and she was saying, if you notice that there is a delay, enjoy the delay, because that means that you don't have to be over there yet. Prepare, stay in position, but enjoy the delay. But it's that same thing as if when people tell you, oh, enjoy the process, enjoy the process, enjoy the process. People don't enjoy the process, because of the fact of the matter is, it's not even the fact that we want control over the process. It's the fact that we want peace in the full scope of everything. Now, as we know, Ezekiel 37 states that God has a covenant of peace. For with God's peace he gives to us, we have to be able to find peace, whether we are base or bound, no matter what distractions are going on around us, that we must sit in peace. And see, the thing about it, that's the way the enemy operates. He hates it when a child of God is sitting in peace when he's created chaos around. It's like, why won't they move? Oh my God, they're still standing still. They're still resting. They're still at peace with themselves. Why? They're not getting anxious, at least not visibly anxious. Why is this? Which causes them to have a panic attack. I cannot express to you how many times the Lord's given me visions of the warfare in the spirit, where these minions of the devil are literally having temper tantrums because I didn't freak out. God will suddenly change your trajectory so that you will avoid a battle. I remember before I left New York, there was a series of events that was occurring right up near the time I was preparing to leave. God showed me when, how, and what I needed to do. And when he did that, there was like I said, there's a series of things. They wanted me to sign certain paperwork. They wanted me to do this. They wanted me to do that. And I'm like, what in the world is this? And God said, I need for you to be gone by this date. I was like, oh, okay. And I made sure that before the sun was setting on that day, I was on some type of way out of that city. By sunset, I was here in the city I'm in right now. My dad literally called me and was like, where you at? I'm like, I'm here. And that's the way you've got to be. Some of us are preparing for moves, major shifts that God is preparing us for. And with these shifts comes a major transition in our lives, whether it be stability, whether it be relationship, whether it be marriage, kids, all of this type of stuff is coming with this next move. And a lot of that stuff we can't be running around. I remember Stephanie P did a video several months back. She said, if you're traveling, if you're going anywhere, if you think you're going anywhere, do not tell anybody that you think you're leaving, nor when you are planning to go, because that prevents a whole heap of warfare that you would have had on the day that you were leaving, because nobody knew that you were leaving. And I know even on the day that I left the city I was in to come where I'm at, I told nobody where I was going, but there was still tentative delays in activity. I had to take a different form of transportation. The one that I was thinking I was taking, I ended up not taking that. I had to walk. I got a little lost where I was in getting to that location, even though I knew that was the place I was going. I was on the wrong side, and then ended up having to wait a certain amount of time before I was able to leave, and so on and so forth. God does not give you all the pieces and the trajectory of where you're going because he wants you to trust him. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways. Sometimes we may be in a season of testing that is not so much that it's a test. The test is, are you going to stand still when I say stand still, though everything around you is saying move, 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 move? And it's frustrating because, like, I have a coach and she's in a season of movement, but I'm not. And I believe that's why the Lord has me in a season where He's got me tentatively listening to her, because she's in that energy and I feel the energy to run. Every time I watch her, I feel the energy to run. I watch her to get my energy boosted. If I'm in low energy, I will watch one of her videos and I'll be like, oh, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. But sometimes God's like, I need you to rest. And because I need you to rest, I don't need you over there. I don't need you thinking about that. I don't need you working on that. I don't need you over there in that, because it starts to get me in that I'm ready to go mode. And God's like, I ain't got nothing for you to do besides what I already told you to do. Just keep doing that. Sit still. And perfect example of trajectory change. I run a podcast outside of this. And just before I started this, I had just recorded all the content for the season of my podcast, and I was ready to go into the trajectory. I had a completely different YouTube channel. I was coming down on the end of that content over there, and I was going to put something in relation to what I'm talking about here on that channel, and it was like an immediate shift the Lord gave me. I need you to change channels, because one, I ran out of space over there, and I could not continue to maintain the video content on that channel. So He moved me to this one. And I was like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. And then He started to show me, this is how I want you to build this channel out. This is how I want you to develop this channel. He changed my trajectory so suddenly, and I'm like, I remember that content that you had in your Tumblr. I want you to record that content here instead of recording it over there. And it's like, oh, okay. And that's what I've been doing. And I feel like I'm neglecting my podcast because there's a level of engagement, especially that I have learned from my coach. It's like, oh, you need to be building up the channel. Oh, you need to be working on your social media. Oh, you need to, oh, you need to, oh, you need to. And it was funny because the other day she just released a video where she was talking about, I did y'all a disservice by teaching y'all how to do Instagram, but it's not teaching you how to do the movement around the thing in which you were building. And that was my fault. So, which means the thing in which she was teaching is not to say that it was wrong what she taught. It's saying that it wasn't the combined effort of the two together. But I'm kind of like, with the Lord right now, you gave me a vision of something that you wanted me to do with my social media, but I'm noticing everybody's got a pull right now that they're pulling back from social media. Even the other voices that I listen to are kind of stepping back right now. A lot of them are like coming off. There's one voice I listen to, I happen to notice, she ain't been on for about 2 or 3 months. And she just abruptly, she did her last teaching and then she stopped recording content. One of the other ones, the one I was just recently talking about, she said yesterday, I gotta step away. Another young woman, she said, she was even saying that this is a season where the Lord is kind of taking her off of social media to step back. And I've been kind of feeling like, not here that I need to step back, but the step back in relation to, I was a content creator, meaning because I'm a content creator, I create blog posts, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, all this kind of stuff. And I have not been feeling compelled to do the promotional posting. And I had just joined a couple new groups that were going to help me promote the content from my podcast and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, wah, wah, wah. And I'm like, I was supposed to be doing a bunch of content. What happened? And this is something that happens to a lot of business people. I even see it happen to my coach sometimes. She's like, sometimes we're like, oh, I got a new idea. Plan, rest, run. We get the idea. We're like, I'm going to create this. And we run, we create the thing. And it's like, okay, I'm going to take the next such and such amount of time and promote this and push this and this, that, and the other. And God's like, I want you to go rest. And it's like, but I just created it. I wanted it. And God's like, no. Trajectory, rest. I need you to rest. And in your rest, what does he do? He gives you revelation. He gives you information. He gives you content in which you would not have normally gotten had you been sitting there in that state where you were running for what it is that you were trying to produce. And God's like, rest. And you're like, but and sometimes it feels like you're in the midst of a testing and a trial and all those things, and God is trying to deal with you and deal with preparation in these things and in this area. And God has shown you what it is you're doing and why he's doing it, and he's got you in all excited and want to do it. But we have this habit of we have to feel like we need to figure it out. Sometimes God will give you a big vision or a big thing in which he's preparing you for. You're like, okay, I know that I'm about to go into that season. How am I preparing my body for that? How am I preparing my mind for that? How am I preparing in order to get into this mindset for that? How am I going to get into that mindset for that? How am I supposed to walk into that with that? And sometimes the delay is for that reason. He's getting you mentally prepared. Some of us feel like we aren't ready, but we're ready. And so I've heard a lot of, not really coaches or mentors, people say this, but what they say is when you feel like you're ready, you're not ready. But when you feel like you aren't ready, you're ready. And it seems like oxymoron. It's like, what does that mean? What you mean? When you're not ready, you're ready. And when you're ready, you're not ready. What it means is if you feel like you're ready, that means you feel like you're in control of this situation. And you know A to Z how this is going to transition and transpire. But when you feel like you're not ready, that means you've got blank spaces. You don't know which way it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. So because you don't know that, now you're ready. Because that means you're allowing God to be in control of that situation in that moment, and you are not. It means you're relinquishing control from yourself and allowing God to have the control in that situation. You no longer feel like you have to figure it out. You may think that God's going to bring the thing in this particular time, and when it doesn't happen or happen this way as you prepared for that way that it's going to happen, God is saying, let me do this thing. But when you plan it out and you think that you know every detail how it's going to transpire, you are no longer operating in God's will, which creates openings for the enemy to slip in and start presenting you with doubt. Well, how you gonna do that if you don't know which way you going? How are you gonna do that? What you mean you gonna go there? Where you going? You don't know where you're going. How you gonna leave and move and do that if you don't know where you're moving to? How you gonna get married and you ain't got nobody? How you gonna teach on that, but you ain't even experiencing it yourself? These are the things. I'm literally watching people minister. A lot of women right now that are ministering, going through this crisis where they're feeling like, am I doing the right thing? Because I heard so-and-so say this, and maybe I am not, because this person said this, and they're a trusted person, but is that what God said? You know what I'm saying? Are you pulling back because God told you to pull back? Are you pulling back because you now feel insecure about what it is that God called you to do? Which means this is a time that you actually should be moving forward. That's what the woman was saying in her word this morning. She said there are distractions, and you can't allow the distractions of previous seasons to stall you out and stop you from doing and moving. Because what the enemy does is he knows that you're in trajectory to hit your goal, and he'll bring in a word or something that'll make you be like, maybe I need to rest. Maybe I need to back off. Maybe I need to stop going as hard as I've been going. And it's like that momentum break of your continual consistency. That is what prevents him or prevents you from seeing the manifestation of what it is, because you lost momentum just before you were about to hit your breakthrough. If you kept in that alignment, that trajectory, and that pressure, but the enemy brings up words from people that you trust that almost lull you and rub you and touch you, and it's like, they're there. You don't have to work that hard. You don't have to work that hard. Don't take the pressure. I know it's heavy. Just sit still, stand still. The Lord will work it out. Just rest. And you're sitting there like, yeah, I am tired. I should just rest. I'm gonna rest. And sometimes it is God saying, I need you to rest. But sometimes it's the enemy putting familiar voices in your ear to tell you to rest, and you should be continuing to press forward. Maybe you need to press forward in a rested position, but you still need to keep working. Some people get the idea that when God says rest, you're supposed to put everything down. And God's like, no, I still need you to do what you're doing. I just need you to do it from a rested position where you are not operating in worry and confusion. That's what I'm saying. Because now faith is the substance of things hoped for, but evidence of the things you do not see. There are things God is calling us into in this season that we may not see the results of as we are operating, but because we don't see it, we can't sit there and be in fear or operating in fear, doubt, disbelief, because of the fact that things aren't moving in which the way we desire for them to in that moment. Sometimes God will switch your trajectory quickly. It'll be a bunch of quick shifts he needs you to move and operate in. When God wants to prepare you in certain seasons for a major shift or shifts period, he disrupts your day-to-day routine. Maybe you were comfortable sitting in one place every single day doing your work, and God makes it a little bit hard for you to do the work in that spot. So he has you shift where you were inside, you were outside. Where you were sitting still, now you're outside jogging. Where you were this, you are that. Where you were on your own computer, you're in the library. Where you were this year is that. And he has you moving around because he's trying to get you acclimated. I'm going to start moving you. So because I'm starting to move you, I need for you to move around. I'm getting you out of your comfort zone. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on you. I'm making things a little uncomfortable so that you can operate at the pace I need you to move in this season as I prepare you for your next season, because you're going to have to move just as quickly when I say go, I need you to go. And sometimes what will happen is you'll see that the things around you, I said this before in the word I released, was it yesterday? Where I was talking about God dismantling previous things that were aligned for the season that you were in. God will allow your enemies to dismantle the things that you thought that you were safe in order to prepare you. Now I need for you to move. Remember when they were going through the process in Exodus that the glory cloud started to move, the Israelites had to move with it. When God's preparing to move you, you'll know, because things that were comfortable around you are no longer suiting your needs and desires. Um, you'll find that you'll pray for this and you're not getting it. You'll pray for that and you're not getting it. You'll be like, oh, I'm hoping for this in order to keep me comfortable in this season. God's like, you can't have that right now because I'm trying to get you uncomfortable because I need for you to be prepared because I'm about to move and shift you in a different direction. It's like even now, there's some things that I'm concerned about in my coming season. I'm like, I need to be working on this. I need to be prepping for that. And God's kind of been showing me, not really. I know you want to work on this in this next season and you want to get prepped for that and you've got vision for that and you've been working on this stuff all this time. And God's kind of like, in this next season, you're going to be not doing all as much of that. I need you to focus on being prepared for this next thing. And because I have you being prepared for this next thing, I need you to focus on this next thing. Doesn't mean I'm still not here. It's just I'm preparing you for the next season where you might actually not be able to be present like this. A lot of people that are going to be coming into their marriage seasons, which I think is extremely smart on the Lord's part. That's why I also believe a lot of the people are pulling back right now off of social media, because when these marriages come, can't be all up in here like this. For one, spiritually, there's too much going on. I don't record my videos live because of the fact I do know that there's a level of warfare that comes when you open your atmosphere up to people externally. They have, especially I remember I was in a live with a young woman a few weeks back and she was doing a Zoom meeting. There was a straight witch sitting in there. 9 times out of 10, my coach has had this problem. There's a couple other people that they got literal straight witches to be sitting there praying in foreign tongues against what it is that they're doing in a live broadcast. And they can literally feel it. It's like, and you know it because you'll start to gain symptoms in the midst of it. And during those types of times, it's like where you're going, you don't need that confusion upon the entry of that next season. I noticed that in certain seasons, like even when I left to go to New York 5 years ago, what ended up happening is when I first got there, I could talk to no one. I was allowed to make one phone call to my father. And after that, for 6 weeks, I was AWOL before he allowed me to be around people. And then he put me in a place to rest for that next 4 weeks before he put me in a different place, which was way more energy than a place he had me in. And God kind of does that. Because what'll happen is you might find that you're in a peaceful place, and in the next season that he puts you in is very active. And it's not so much that it's very active. The people and the surroundings and the people coming in and out and all that kind of stuff is a lot for your spirit to take on in that season. And you have to readjust. Or he may put you in a season where he's gotten you adjusted, where he has no one around you. Maybe he has a particular person around you, but you're only around that person in that season. And then you're going to go into a season where it's going to be busy. But he builds you up. But you're dealing with certain warfare in each season. Some seasons it's mild warfare. Other seasons it's heavy warfare. Other seasons it's you have access to no one. It's like you're still moving, you're still operating, you're still walking back and forth, you're still doing all the things that you would do. It's just, it seems like it's like a movie I watched years ago called The Langoliers, where the people were in this world, but there was nobody there. Meaning God has you in this bubble where nobody else has access to you. They're walking around you, but you're invisible to them. For I will hide you in my pavilion with a shield of invisibility. So, as he prepares you to go through what it is he's preparing you for. And it feels like sometimes he has you in a Job season where you don't have access to anything. It feels like God's sifting you as wheat and he's taking all of this other stuff away from you. And you're like, what in the world is going on? And it's like, no, I allowed that to be removed because I'm taking you someplace different. And I need you to pack light. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, all this kind of stuff. You'll get what you need when you get there. I know it feels uncomfortable, but it's going to all work out to your benefit. So God is doing two things. He's attempting to allow the enemy to test you, but he can't kill you. He is also seeing if you are prepared enough to handle the blessing that he is about to give you through the testing. God takes you through that. So he allows that to happen so that you'll be prepared for where he's taking you. You've gone through the testing, but right now we're in the season where God, it's that transitionary point. You finished the testing, you passed all the tests, you've gotten all the cleansing, you've been through the deliverance, everything has been done, everything is good, you're okie dokie, but you're in transit because you still ain't got where you're supposed to be, but you're on the way. And you're just waiting for the right doors to open, the right phone calls and all this, and you're kind of feeling like, God, when's that gonna happen? When God's like, I got you. When the time is right, it's right. And this is when we run into what I said in the previous video. You feel like you're rocking back and forth because you know it's time for the door to open, but it ain't quite time yet. And you know your trajectory is changing, that you are growing in a different way, and he's closing off certain doors to things that you would have did when you got to your next season, and he's no longer allowing you to do those things, but you have to shift into the alignment of the things which you're called to do now. And it's uncomfortable, but it's worth it. Be prepared. God's changing your trajectory. Prepare. This is Todd McCameron for Love, Faith, Peace, and Blessings Ministries. Until next time, bye-bye.